Peace, peace. What's happening? We back to it. We back to it. What's up with you? Hope everything is well, man. Let me get my. We're gonna make this another brief one. You feel me? You know, the way I put these together, really, is I'll just wake up. You feel me? And whatever's on my mind, pretty much, is what I talk about. So, today I woke up with something simple on my mind. It's something that, people talk about a lot, many different perspectives on it. And I'm just here to give my own perspective. You feel what I'm talking about? It may be some shit you heard before. It may not be, but the point is the point, and that's all that really matters, right? And the topic is nobody, including you, ever really dies. And I'm not going to go into some metaphysical afterlife or some philosophical afterlife of continuations, and you're in the ethers, and then you come back in another motherfucking body or some weird shit, and you made the choices. And no, I'm not doing that. I'm going to just keep it real simple. And that's why I say it's going to be a short video. It's a literal video on just one specific perspective, and I'm out of here, right? And the reason, the reason I say that nobody really dies, it is a very simple reason, right? And this is sex. Yeah, sex. Now, what do I mean, though? Okay, so very simply put, let me keep it simple, man. Sex, right? When a man and a woman, I'm not doing the birds and bees shit, but when a man and woman come together, what happens is I give half of my essence. She gives half of her essence. And we create a new life form, right? This life form is me. This life form is her. So no matter what happens, when I die, I live on, in a literal sense, within the confines of the child, right? So we make halves of ourselves, and then we come together and become one again, right? Now, this thought and perspective and theory, and I got to acknowledge that this is all of those, because I don't want anybody to say, oh, you said that as a fact, right? Well, it is, but we're just going to keep it pimping, all right? You ever had, and this is how I look at it now, this is just my perspective on things now. You ever had a dream that you seen your parents or parent or a parent or something to that degree, or you was a child yourself or something to that degree? This is, to me, this is like a premonition of you as the child you will have, right? It's being able to see through the eyes of self. And in this instance, the self is the child that you created, the duplicate of you, the clone of you, the replica of you. You know what I'm saying? So when we die, and I think this is why we can't remember our childhood, because it doesn't come into play until we become the child, right? Or you can't remember when you was a baby, or, things like that. It doesn't come into play until you become the child. So no matter what happens to you, you live on. This is the infinite life. I don't want to go into the different realms where you pick a body and then you come back as that reincarnation. No, I'm not talking about that. Before you were able to be you, the the essence of you, the energy, the frequency, the vibration, the essence of you was already becoming or beginning to form. You're unaware of it, obviously. And when you have that child, before you had that child, the essence, the aura, the energy of that child, the duplicate of you was already taking form. It's not something you visibly can see. It's not one of those things. This is where we might have to touch on some metaphysics, in a metaphysical sense. It was already beginning to take shape. It was already beginning to, I have to say it, because you were not you yet. You were still the essence or the it factor, right? Before you stuck in her, you feel me? Before you shot that shot, you feel what I'm talking about? Before all of that, everything is on a pattern. Everything has a pattern, a rhythm to it, everything. So before you were even here, that pattern was already taking place, has already begun taking place. Your death is already beginning to form. You don't see it. It's not one of those things where you could just look at it and see, I'll see the pattern of my death. No. Understand that everything has an essence, an energy behind it that has to come together to create what it is, right? So your death, your life, your rebirth, quote unquote, rebirth, right? This is when you are born again. You hear what I'm saying? Sex, right? When you're born again. All of this has been taking place before you were you. So when we talk of, infinite life, never dying, this is when two halves, male and female, or masculine and feminine, split themselves like meiosis. Something like meiosis. You feel what I'm talking about? And then you come together to become one. When two becomes one again, rebirth. Now we could break that down even more, into the light being born again. We are light beings to a degree, but even the light had to develop. The essence was already there. It was already ready. It had all the components needed to be, but it had to evolve into that, so to speak. So sex isn't just, busting a nut. Sex ain't just lust. When you create life, you're creating it from yourself. So a part of you, half of you, lives on. The other half, which is the balance to you, combines with your half, when two becomes one. And now you have a little clone, a little replica. Now those memories that you carry won't be able to be remembered until later on, obviously. But as far as, we don't die. We never die. We will always be. This is true on many levels, and I specifically chose this perspective, knowing that we could go to many different perspectives and break this down, obviously. It isn't just the sex, of course. And I'm not speaking literal physical sex, but I am at the same time, what I'm saying? Reproducing, balance, masculine and feminine. That's all I'm talking. When we talk about sex, it doesn't literally mean only fucking. You know what I'm saying? It's the essence of masculine, feminine, yin, yang, etc., etc. So, when we divide ourselves, this is meiosis, man. Down to the basic elements. These things have to go through these transgressions, not transgressions. Something like that, though, you feel me? Lack of a better word. But these are what we're simply organisms, you feel me? And we have to replicate, we have to duplicate, we have to keep going. This is the basic function of most cells, most organisms, single cell organisms. All of these things have to reproduce, split in two. This is when masculine and feminine, you know what I'm saying? Everything has a gender to it, a yin and yang to it. So this is why men have estrogen and women have testosterone. It's a balance to everything. But we live on, you know, we literally live and continue to live through our children. Now, for you folks that ain't got children, you know, there's a scene in a movie with Robert De Niro. I forgot the movie. It's a newer movie. He was old in it. That's what I remember. And he said, nobody really dies. Nobody truly dies until the last person who remembers you dies. When the memory of you disappears, that's when you disappear. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's absolute, because even thought is creation. Thought creates life. So if I could keep the memory of you, then you're still alive, because the energy and the things that make up the thought, in essence, is still the you. But when that motherfucking memory is gone, and I don't remember your ass no more, and I'm the last person to remember you, excuse me, that's when you die, though. You know, thought is creation. Thought has a essence behind it, a energy behind it. Things that make up the energy is the essence of you. You know, you are in the essence of self is in everything. There is no difference. We make up differences. We see the physical body as being separate from everything. When the structure, not the physical, of the mind, the structure of the mind is the structure of the universe, which is the structure in a microscopic level. All of those things are still in the structure of mind. You understand? You are the reflection of the universe. The universe is actually a reflection of you, but not the you think you are. You feel me? And even that was created through yin and yang aspects of creation. The idea of you is the yin and yang of creation. You know, you are the essence of the thought, the thinking, the organisms, if you will, lack of better words, today, you know, of the thought, of the essence, the things that are contained within the thought, of the thought, that create the thought, what it's made of as components, it's all you. So you have this child who you live through, you know, having memories of the past that you don't necessarily remember experiencing. That's the you, the previous you, the parent you, if you will, you know, and you grow up to find your better half and another generation of meiosis. You see how this works? Reproduction. You see how this works? We replicate what happens on a microscopic level. You understand what I'm saying? As the macro to that micro. But then we become the micro to the macro universe that goes through the same exact events. The essences, all of that is within the mind. The mind is not the physical brain. That's just the motherfucking brain. You see what I'm saying? But like I said earlier, everything has a pattern. Everything has a rhythm. When you're able to identify the patterns and the rhythms, you will see that we only reflect self. I know that's crazy. Be like, no, nigga, I'm not the universe, or the universe ain't me, or I'm not the earth ain't me, I'm not the water ain't me. All of these things, it's easy to say we're not. But when you have eyes to see and ears to hear, and you see the patterns, and you can hear the rhythms and see the rhythms, you'll see that everything is in the same, goes through the same motions, if you will. No different from us. Those cells that had to split in two are still the same cells. Now they're just split in two. And when they recreate with another cell, the essence of both of those cells are in that new creation that creates another cell. And that's what we do, man. So to sum it up, no one ever really dies, man. No one dies. Because we have sex. And I'm not saying we're having sex physically, but we have sex as it is, not as an action necessarily of fucking, but just as it is. So guys, hope you enjoy your day. I'm out.